ABC Central Coast, and our book reading continues. The World Beneath. You can get a copy of that too at our ABC shops. Vision Australia and the ABC get together to produce those talking books. And we've heard from some of our truckie listeners that they're a terrific way to consume literature as you consume the kilometres as you head up down the Hume Highway or up the Pacific Highway. I'm sure most of them have got through Dickens by now. It's his entire works. By the time they got to Perth, it's a long distance, isn't it? It's talking books. It's all right. I've got Jane, Spike Milligan's youngest daughter, who's a radio presenter and an actress from the UK, in the studio, along with Nina Angelo, who's one of our great local arts identities, great artist in her own right, does a lot of community art, and also Spike's eldest daughter, Laura, in the studio as well, and Spike's only granddaughter, Georgia. So the Milligan blood is still strong here on the Central Coast. And first of all, to you, Laura, welcome back. It's great to see you again.
Hello, Woy, how are you?
I remember sharing a stage with you at the Little Theatre at Woy for a tribute to your dad, and it was great fun.
It was great fun. And do you remember that styrofoam headstone?
Yes.
I said I told you I was ill.
Yeah.
And we stomped. Do you remember? You don't actually remember.
I do.
We stomped all over it.
That's right. It was
because it wasn't true that he said. Well, he said I told you I was ill, but he didn't want it on his headstone.
No.
And I did a stomp all over it in high heels.
Well, the stories you told. That's right. It was a bit of fun. It was stories. It was songs. It was.
It was a fantastic night.
Readings.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
It was a great night.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, and your stories were particularly great. I guess Jane as well had lovely stories about a really loving dad, a really genuine, loving, fun-loving, if times eccentric dad, and I think a lot of people don't get that side of it, do they? You were very lucky to have that.
Yeah, he was very good with the kids. He was very good with us when we were kids. In fact, he was probably just really a big kid himself. I don't think he really liked it when we grew up. Officially, he quite liked us when we were little. So when a whole new generation came along, he was very, very pleased about that when the little ones arrived again,
Great lateral thinker when it comes to parenting too. There was no chance of you ever getting lost when you went off to school. He liked the marking pen, I hear. Is that right?
Well, yes. I mean, like when he was a single dad, he used to have to get out. We told him we had to sew all our names in our clothes, so he just made us take all our shirts off and just put in huge letters, Laura, Sean, Seeley, and I got the tail, the boy shirt. But I mean, we never lost it. Yeah. Yeah, he used to like string, he used to like glue.
He used to write all over the equipment as well, play, stop, forward, rewind, didn't care really. Buy a very expensive amplifier and then write all over it.
In black felt
tip pen.
So he loved those indelible markers.
Oh, I loved it, yes. A military man deep down, he was very disciplined. And that included black felt tip pen and string.
Well, you need direction in life, don't you? And you were given it.
Absolutely right. Yeah, we've carried on the tradition of string. We're teaching Georgia our evil ways.
What other memories? I think one that Laura shared with us on that night, the tribute, Permission to Laugh it was called, a tribute to Spike, was bunny spotting.
Oh yes, so he used to. Well, we've all got minis now as a sort of tribute to our dad, all his daughters anyway. England and here. Me, I've got one too. And he used to have a mini, and he used to take the back seat out, because in those days you could take the back seat out, and he'd put it on the top, and he'd tie his 3 children on with string onto the seat in their pyjamas, and we'd just go around the streets with torches bunny spotting in the fields.
Did you ever see one, Laura?
Actually, I actually remember nearly blinding my father, and he went into a ditch because I shone the torch in his face, because I said, "Did you see that bunny?" Dang. But no, we did. It was we go around the little laneways, and it was crazy, and you just didn't think anything of it, because that's all we knew, that people got tied on tops of cars and string in their pyjamas and drove round the streets.
Great thing. It's a great thing to do. I mean, we've got one of those palm trees that the flying foxes come into right outside the house. And rather than my 4-year-old son being scared by the devilish noise that they make, we go out with the torches and we look at them, and he loves it now. And he you know, instead of hearing their demonic noise and thinking that's something coming to get me, it's, oh quick, the bats are here, Dad, let's go out and have a look. So I guess, you know, in lots of ways that's pretty good thing to do with kids, isn't it?
Oh no, and he spent a lot. He was in the wildlife fund. He was taking us to the zoo, and you know,
he liked to sort of expand our imagination. So we'd often go looking for things that probably didn't really exist, but in his mind, he fed us that they might exist, like pixies and fairies and stuff like that. So we all grew up believing in all that, and quite frequently spent a bit of time looking for them.
He got sick of all his children drawing on the wall, so he actually, I think, was about the first person just to paint 2 huge walls of the room with chalkboard, and then he'd draw, at night time, he'd draw stories and pictures on the wall.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, and actually a lot.
So that's that sort of flat black paint.
Yeah, blackboard paint.
Yes.
We painted it on 2 walls of the nursery, and then the story, he'd draw the story, great big bucket of chalks, and in the morning there'd be like a whole story across the whole wall, which was great.
Yeah.
You know, just fed your imagination.
Awesome.
Which puts you in a good place for growing up mental.
I'm sure it also,
Has it?
it also puts you in a very good place, I guess, for, you know, using those sort of wonderful techniques to inspire your own children.
Well, absolutely, and kids around and families, and yeah, just generally. I mean, Laura's now a writer. All her inspiration probably came from being a very small child, being fed all this stuff by Dad.
Rubbish.
You know, being fed rubbish, and bananas and custard, staple diet. But no, Laura's now on her 3rd book of children's stories, and that imagination has come from somewhere, and it's probably come from her parents, you know, from Dad.
And you have survive on your creative juices as well, don't you?
Yeah, performing, doing a show in Singapore at the moment. So I've taken this chance to fly over. I'm doing The Ugly Duckling. I'm narrating The Ugly Duckling, Hans Christian Andersen's story, which is great. It's a beautiful tale. And I've been there since February. And so I thought I'd better come and see my family, seeing as I'm only 7 hours away. So here I am.
And Laura's happy to have you.
I am very happy to have her. Yes, I am very happy to have her.
We've got a minute to the news. Can you hang on for a couple of minutes?
Yes, we're hanging on.
Before we let you go, because there's so much more to talk about. Hang on. She's got hold of the panel, it's not going anywhere. We're speaking with Laura and Jane, and George is here as well. She's 19, so said if I can avoid talking to you at all, I will. But
she's got that look, hasn't she?
Yes, just thankful. Fear. We might be able to get a word out of Georgia as well about, well, a fellow who really put Woy Woy particularly on the world map. I mean, if it wasn't for Spike, I think nobody in the UK particularly would know where Woy Woy was. It's such a wonderful name as well. 92.5 ABC Central Coast, Scott Levi with you. And we're also with the Milligan girls. 23 degrees in Gosford, 22 at Mangrove Mountain, 23 at Norah Head. The water's beautiful, it's about 22 now. Jane, over from London, you'll be cracking out the longboard and catching a few waves.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. After I finish carving it.
Carving it.
Just finishing it up now.
Carving it.
Wax it and get out there. McMaster's. I'm going down McMaster's later on today.
Good on you. That's a fantastic accent you've got going there.
Is it?
Good strike, crikey.
Good strength, mate.
Steve.
Got a little rasp in there as well. You've got to get the rasp.
You do a sort of a commentary of what's happening, the news of the day sort of thing.
Kind of. I review the papers on the Steve Allen Breakfast Show on LBC in London on Sunday mornings, and that's really the light end of the papers. It's like the news of the world. We have a terrible paper called the News of the World, and we also have other papers, but that one's pretty gossipy and stuff.